What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I'm here to talk about I'm just playing around, man. What is going on, everybody? I saw that comment in here. What it do, Gerber crew, and that's what it reminded me of. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing, man? How is everybody doing? Happy Friday. We got a UFC pay-per-view this weekend. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for UFC 323. Last pay-per-view of the year, and everybody keeps saying last pay-per-view ever, and I hope that that is the case. But you never know, right? Under Paramount, who knows where things are going to go in the future. So hopefully it stays that way, man. But in terms of the ESPN era, we got two more events. We got this pay-per-view, and then we got a fight night, and then that is a wrap on 2025. Crazy year, man. Went fast. Went fast. What's up, Shane? What's up, Landon? What's up, Retro? What's up, Klaus? How you guys doing, man? So we're gonna get this thing rolling in just a minute. People, were commenting on the recent video that I did, one of the more recent videos, asking my thoughts on the Tom Aspinall situation, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I got enough to do a video on it. So I've already made videos on it before, kind of giving my thoughts. So we're gonna go over all that in this video. We're gonna take a look at a couple different things. He just did an interview with Ariel, and it was like right when I was maybe going to make a video, something else came out, a new interview, a vlog, a this, or that. And I'm just like, so I figured I would just talk about it on the live. So we'll talk about it. We'll go through UFC 323 as well. So yeah, Murphy and Armin to the PFL. Nah, man. What are you talking about? They're great fighters. They're great fighters. I was going to say, yeah, we got all these people. We got some people in here, man. If you guys could like the stream, I would appreciate it. We're going to get rolling in just a second. Predict what the pound for pound top five will be, assuming Merab and Pantoja win. Your personal rankings are 1, Islam, Merab 2, Elia 3 because of inactivity, Pantoja 4, 5. I think that that's a pretty good list. I think that's a pretty good list, man. I think that's a pretty good list. And I get what you're saying because of the inactivity. So we will see. Lerone is undefeated in the UFC, and Armin's been dominant too. So yeah, I don't. Nah, man, keep the good fighters in the UFC. So I'm excited to see what happens in 2026. Right, UFC's got a lot going on. I appreciate it, Chill Pill. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. Hearing stuff like that, man, is awesome, man. I appreciate it. My thoughts about villain. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Tom Aspinall. No more Mr. Nice Guy. All right. So first we're going to talk about Tom, and then we're going to talk about UFC 323 and then other things. So I'm on X, right? I'm on social media, looking around. And the other day, this is what I see. All right. I'm sure you guys have all seen this by now, seen all the clips, seen all the videos, all that kind of stuff. And I just see this. Injury update. Tom Aspinall gives update on UFC 321 eye poke injury. And I'm like, all right, so let's see here. And then there's a medical report, right? And I think that this thing was even longer. It might have been on his Instagram or whatever, but I just saw this post, right? And then I went to Instagram, started looking at everything, and I'm like, dog, I ain't a doctor, man. I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Oh, we got a super chat in here. What's up, Shane? For my UFC 323 services. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the $10, man. Greatly appreciated. You're a G, man. I really appreciate it, Shane. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. All right, so back to this, man. I really appreciate it, Shane. Thank you. That made my day, man. Seriously, thank you. So I saw this, and I'm like, oh, man. Like, all the people that were saying he's faking it, he's this and that. We got a doctor's report. I don't know. People are out here trying to say this ain't real, and all this other stuff. It's like, man, this is documentation that we have here, right? So I'm not in the business of being like people are really out here thinking that Tom Aspinall went through these great lengths to what? Like fabricate a report or whatever. I don't know, man. Like I see people out there with some crazy takes on the whole situation. I got a document in front of me. I think that there's more to this or whatever that was on his Instagram, but it was just, I saw Homo Fight, post this. And I'm just looking at this stuff. I'm looking up some of the terminology because again, I ain't a doctor, man. But I'm just sitting there thinking, like, what the stuff that I'm reading and looking up these terms, I'm like, this doesn't sound good, man. If this is actually what's really going on and what is happening, this is insane. This is insane. And people are talking about a return and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, going off of what Tom is saying and off of what this report that is out here, this medical documentation, whatever the hell this is, the confirmed clinical findings, all this stuff, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good at all. And I think that Tom was talking about surgery and all this other stuff. So I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know where we go moving forward, honestly. I really don't know where the division goes moving forward, because if that's the direction that this is going, is Tom Aspinall even going to be back in 2026? And I got to be honest, the report, it is interesting looking, man. Like when I look at this report, it looks like something that I would just put together in Microsoft Word right now. Again, I don't know how all this works. Like I'm not a doctor, so that's why I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just going off of the information that was provided, but it's all weird, man. It is all very, very interesting. And then there's this right here. So I'll show the so I saw that. I know everyone was kind of reacting to that, but then there's just a bunch of different things in Tom's vlogs. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I know people have been, talking nonstop about Aspinall, and dude, like, it's going to be what it's going to be. All right. And I saw this, right? And this was one of my big takeaways from the whole thing, right? Tom Aspinall was not happy with Dana White's comments at the UFC 321 press conference regarding whether or not he could continue after the eye poke. I'll tell you why I didn't continue: because I'm not an effing dummy. So that was kind of one of the big lines that Tom dropped in his vlog. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the vlogs or whatever. I didn't watch all of them. I just saw the clips online. I saw Tom Aspinall get basically gouged in the eyeballs by Cyril Gane. And I've seen more people coming after Tom Aspinall than Cyril Gane, the guy that committed the fouls. So whether Tom Aspinall could have continued or not, that's everybody else's opinion. But I think where you have to put yourself, like, Tom Aspinall sitting there thinking, I just got gouged in the fucking eyeballs, and I'm supposed to continue in a giant-ass title fight against a guy in Cyril Gane where all this pressure's on me, and I'm just supposed to move forward where I'm compromised. So that, I think that's essentially what I'm getting from Tom Aspinall in that Ariel Helwani interview. And that's why I had in the thumbnail, like, disaster Tom. Like, dude, I'm going to be honest. I've sat up here and I've defended Tom Aspinall, called him Thomas Paul Aspinall, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think Tom Aspinall is a great fighter. I feel like he's doing this because he's just under immense heat, and he's like trying to be like, see, look, I'm proving it. I'm proving it. I'm proving it, because there's been so much backlash which is crazy, because Cyril Gane is the one that, again, committed the fouls and kept throwing out eye pokes, and is the one that ultimately poked Aspinall in the eyeballs. It's just crazy to me that Tom's getting more heat from him. However, when you're constantly doing vlog after vlog after vlog, and then you're doing these interviews with an interview with Ariel, and it almost becomes to the point where if you weren't suspicious, you almost start to become suspicious, because you're like, why are you going to such great lengths to try to prove what the heck is going on? And I know you could say, Jake, he's just defending himself. He's just defending himself. And I do think that that is more or less the case, right? He's received so much backlash that he feels like he has to go in there, put out the report, defend himself, all this stuff. What I'm getting at, man, my overall take, Tom is doing too much, man. He's doing too much, dude. Stop with the vlogs. And I get it, at the end of the day, like, these vlogs that he's putting out get hella views, man. He gets tons of views on these vlogs. And, when he goes on Ariel Helwani, it gets a lot of traction. I get all of it. He's trying to set the record straight, give his perspective, I guess. But at the end of the day, I just feel like a lot of the fan base is not receiving it that way. They're receiving it as you're almost like trying to kind of cover for yourself. I'm not saying that that's what he's doing, because we saw Tom Aspinall get gouged in the damn eyeballs, man. And every eye poke is different. I say that. People are like, oh, well, we didn't see any redness. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. So just the way the whole situation is played out, I think he just needs to shut up, honestly. Like, just stop, move forward, and be like, I'm going to come back. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I get it. You want to play the bad guy role, whatever. Okay, tap into that, do your thing, whatever. But then going out there and being like, Cyril Gane's a cheater and all this stuff. We've seen and we've heard, about Cyril Gane being a cheater. Like, we've seen that. The highlights, hitting people in the back of the head, the fingers being extended. But how many fighters nowadays, especially with the gloves UFC has, since they refuse, to get away from the glove that they have pretty much, a lot of guys stick their fingers out. They just do. They do. Right. So acting like Gane is the only one that does that is crazy. However, Cyril Gane was literally, how many times was, all the sequences that you see of when Aspinall moves forward, Gane's fingers are out like this. He's out like this, out like this. And then when you gouge somebody in the damn eyeballs, the fact that many people are basically after Aspinall instead of the guy that did it in Gane is just what's so crazy to me, man. It's so crazy. And there's, and I feel like a lot of people are saying, yeah, we understand that, Aspinall stopped because of the position that he's in. Why would you continue if you're compromised when the guy fouled you? But could you have continued? Who knows? But at the end of the day, I'm saying that, like, we have a medical report, documentation, whatever. That's what I'm seeing. And I'm going off of what I'm seeing. And I feel like Tom Aspinall is just feeling like he has to overdo it and defend himself because of all the backlash that he has received. But I got to tell you, man, as a guy that sat up here and defended him, when you go to great lengths to basically continuously defend yourself over and over and over again, and you keep bringing it up, you keep bringing it up, keep bringing it up, it just does make things, even if you weren't suspicious, maybe a little more suspicious. So that's what I'm saying. I know people have just been nonstop talking about this. I hope Tom Aspinall is all right. I'm saying in terms of the situation, I don't care anymore. Let's move on. Let's move on. That's how I feel about it. I hope Tom Aspinall is okay. I'm saying in terms of the whole situation, stop putting out vlogs about, the whole, this happened, this guy. We know what the guy's sticking his fingers out and gouged you in the eyeballs. We understand that. But all the, these interviews and the talking about, the cheating and it just, Tom Aspinall, I wish he would say, I think he did say that in one of the clips. He was like, I'm going to be Mr. Bad Guy. Come back, be mean, go out there and be like, I'm going to knock Gane's ass out and make him pay for this. That's what I would love to hear instead of all this other stuff, man. So at the end of the day, Cyril Gane is the one to blame. He is the one that poked Tom in the eyes. The people that are out there coming down on Tom Aspinall and being like, this is not real, this, whatever. At the end of the day, he was the one that was fouled. He's the one that was fouled. So it's Gane's fault. This is Cyril Gane's fault, man, at the end of the day. And again, every eye poke is different. The one that knows is Tom Aspinall, and going off of what we've seen and what we've heard, it's bad. Off of that report and, the documentation that we have, all those things that are being described on that sheet, that's not good, man. And people are like, well, Aspinall, he'll be back in a couple of months. I'm like, he's not even training. He's not even cleared to train or whatever, right? So this seems to me like this is going to be a long, drawn-out process because the most important thing, first and foremost, is your health, right? And your eyes, obviously very, very important. So I think that, Tom's going to check out, make sure everything's all right before he has any plan of making a return. And I wouldn't be shocked if the UFC moves forward with an interim title fight if that's what the case is going to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if Waldo goes out there, beats Derek Lewis. They don't do him versus Gane or something for an interim belt in the meantime. Because I got news, man. I don't think Tom Aspinall is coming back early in 2026 whatsoever. I think that this is going to be a long process. That's my take on it. And going off of what we're seeing there, it's like, does he fight again? I don't know. A lot in limbo, a lot of questions. I kind of just want to see how the whole thing plays out, man. But doing all these different, vlogs and all these interviews and continuously talking it, you just keep bringing more and more attention to it. And I feel like the way that it was just kind of handled by Tom, I feel like if he had just said, listen, man, what Gane did, poking me in the eyes, playing that kind of game, dude, I'm going to make you pay for that. When we run this rematch back, I'm knocking your ass out. I'm going to take your lights out, like Ilya would say, like turn it into some solid promo, but having it, this stuff over and over and over again. Oh, well, Gane's a cheater. Like that's what the fans are going to do. And I understand, like, I feel like Tom feels like he has to defend himself more or less because of the amount of people that have been coming after him. But when your dad, just the way that they're handling it, man, all the behind the scenes stuff, you're doing too much, in my opinion. You're doing too much. Like that's not some stuff that I would do. I just wouldn't do that. If I was in that position, I wouldn't. The less, the better. Provide a solid update, and there we go. And I hope Tom Aspinall's all right, man. And I hope that, he can come back and fight, and the whole thing can kind of move along, man, because this whole thing has just been drawn out. It's a new something every time. And listen, I understand what Dana White, the way that he was kind of criticizing Tom after the fight it was harsh, obviously. But I think Henry Cejudo said it best, don't make an enemy with Dana White. I know that's hard to do when the guy's kind of crapping on you and they haven't treated Tom necessarily the best, but then the way that this whole situation's playing out, I just don't think Tom Aspinall's future in the UFC is that bright, man. I really don't. I think he could go out there and win fights, but in terms of the relationship, just the whole UFC 321 experience for Aspinall, I feel like has just been such a huge stock hit, man. As great of a fighter as he is, as much as I like Thomas Paul Aspinall, man, I can't lie. Like, even though it was not his fault whatsoever, this has just been, an aura dampening at least, right? Just the way the whole thing is played out, the releasing, that audio stuff with Daniel Cormier, which he said he apologized for, but still that got out. The media team, whoever's doing his YouTube stuff, that got out. Wasn't a great look. I was like, and remember when I brought that up, I'm like, I don't think DC is going to be happy about that. Then his dad up there, and I think his dad, you talk about doing too much. I think Tom Aspinall's dad needs to like take a step back or something, man. I feel like that he's actually, in a way, kind of rough for Tom right now, man. And I feel like he's drawing extra heat because of the way that he handles things, talking about, no, we're not going to resign. We're going to go box. I understand that the UFC is not, treated Tom the best. We've all been pointing that out. But at the end of the day, then all this stuff starts happening. You're acting like this. You're saying these different things. Like, you're posting videos of, Daniel Cormier's conversations on YouTube, which whether they, got that approved by Cormier or not, I don't know. But, it's just, and then your dad's saying what he's saying, the way that your dad's trying to play this main character role. I'm saying in terms of that, it's kind of been a rough out for Tom Aspinall. But at the end of the day, he's the one that got eye poked, man. So, like, I don't hold anything against Tom. Like, he's the one that was fouled. He's the one that, got poked in the damn eyeballs. Sorogan is the one to blame for all of that. Hopefully we could get Tom back in 2026 at some point, man, because going off of that, document that he posted, the medical stuff, doesn't sound good, man. Doesn't sound good whatsoever. So we'll see how it all plays out. But doing all these interviews, all these different vlogs, I get that the vlogs are getting tons of views and you're making money off of it and all this and that. But the more that you're doing it and you're doing all this behind the scenes stuff, people that weren't suspicious, they're going to start getting suspicious because, it's like one of those things where if you're doing something where that you're wrong or that like maybe you're not always telling the truth, and then you start like going to these great lengths to be like, see, I'm not lying. It starts to make people go, are you lying? I'm not saying he's lying. I'm just saying when you start to do all that stuff, it starts to get people going like, wait a second, man, am I missing something here? Like, why are you like overdoing this? I feel like a lot of it is because he feels like he has to defend himself. And this is what happens when you're a nice guy like Tom Aspinall, man. When you're a really nice dude, and that's what I've always said about Tom, like super cool guy. It seems, at least, never met him. Seems really cool. Seems like a nice dude. The minute that you do something or something happens to you in this case, which I believe is still very unfair the way he's being treated, because again, Gon is the one that's responsible for this. He's the one that fouled him, and all the hate coming Aspinall's way. When you're a nice guy and you're getting all this hate, man, that's uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? That's an uncomfortable position to be in. And Tom's never been in this position that we've seen, right? Getting this kind of criticism, getting this type of negativity and hate coming his way. And I just think he's having a very hard time dealing with it. And he's trying to like throw out all this different stuff to back himself up, justify, why he's saying this, all that kind of stuff. Just stop. Do what you got to do. Get yourself healthy. We hope all is well. And then come back, defend your heavyweight title, and beat Sorogan. That would be the perfect world for Tom Aspinall, but there's no question, man. A lot of people have switched up on Tom, man. I'm not switching up on Tom. Again, every eye poke is different. Getting poked in the eyes, if it's ever happened to you before it's happened to me, it's absolutely brutal. It sucks. So, yeah, I just thought that him going on Ariel, doing all this stuff, all this extra stuff, man, in a way, it's a little bit of disastrous PR, in my opinion. Like, I really think it is. Like, yeah, you could be defending yourself when you go to unbelievably great lengths to defend yourself. Like, there's YouTubers and different people out here defending you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to keep doing that. Focus on getting healthy, get yourself right, and then get back to what you do. That's how I feel about it, It's like, all right, it just feels like something new every other day, man, with it. So we're going to move on in just a second. I want to talk about, let me go back to the chat here. DC is singing Christmas songs on the weigh-ins right now. That weigh-in show's wild, man. It's a good thing Almeida lost. I mean, yeah, I think that Aspinall would smoke Almeida, though. what happened with him and Daniel Cormier. So in one of the vlogs, Daniel Cormier was basically talking about how pretty much how bad the heavyweight division is. And Tom's, future looks really bright because the strength of schedule that he's going to have to face isn't very good. And Cormier was kind of shitting on guys like Almeida and this and that. And they posted that clip in there. And DC was whispering. So I don't know if it's something that he really wanted in that vlog. What's up, Jason? Tom's dad needs to shut up and act like a normal manager and coach. That's how I feel. He's playing that main character role, He's trying to play like in my opinion, he's like overstepping. I get it's your kid, and I get that you want to defend him, and you guys are facing a ton of, heat, which they're not used to, I'm sure. But still, I don't think that they've handled it the best, man, in my opinion. Probably won't see him fight again, bro. He will probably use all this to negotiate out of his contract. Dude, I feel like anything's on the table at this point, man. I just feel like him and the UFC just don't see eye to eye. I just feel like they don't get along. And after the way that all this at 321 has played out with the stuff, not so much necessarily what happened in the fight, because again, it was Gon's fault, but I'm saying the lead up, saying that, we're not his dad, like, we're not going to resign. We're going to go box. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I just feel like his dad, man, Andy Aspinall, like, who I like, like I thought it's cool. Your dad, coaching, all this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm starting to see a different kind of picture with Andy Aspinall recently, the way that this has all been handled. And I just think that Tom Aspinall's team, it just hasn't been good, in my opinion. Like, you don't got to do this. You got poked. All right, you got eye poked, man. I might need surgery. I got this going on. I got that. Man, these are my damn eyeballs. I need to get myself right before I talk about coming back and fighting. Okay. And then be like, when I come back, Strogan's going to pay for this. I'm going to knock his ass out. I'm going to dust him, whatever. That's how I feel like you can pitch it instead of all this stuff, because then, like I said, the negative heat's going to come in anyway. That's just kind of how the MMA world is, and just the world is in general. Eye pokes are rough. They can solve this by implementing steel tie cups, man, and more calf kicks, like Benson Hender said. Yeah, put a steel tie cup over your eyes or something, man. I don't know. Yeah, the way Joe Rogan talks about those steel tie cups, man, and those things are nasty. Those nasty in like a good way, man. They're the real deal, man. If you guys could do me a favor and like the stream, I would appreciate it as well. The heavier divisions have such drama. They do. And then when you got a guy like Waldo Cortez Acosta who's out there getting eye poked, again, all eye pokes are different, but then he's coming back, winning that fight, taking Shamil Gaziev, the pound for pound number one fighter in the sport, on short notice, going out there, starching him in round one, and now getting a Derek Lewis fight on the new, Paramount deal opener. Like, it's a big deal for Waldo, man. So DC just got done talking about how bad Merab looks right now, too. Hey, man, remember what I was saying? Like, what are the big factors coming into this fight? I don't know if Merab's going to be the guy that it affects, but multiple weight cuts in a year. I'm not saying that RDR would have beaten Brennan Allen if, like, that wasn't a factor, but they just fought straight up, and RDR wasn't super active, multiple weight cuts. I still think, given what we saw, that Brennan Allen could probably beat RDR, but dude, I'm starting to really see that, that multiple weight cuts in a year, draining the body, beating yourself up over and over and over again, it clearly has an impact, man. So we'll see, because if Merab is not the same guy in this fight against Jan, he's going to definitely leave the door open for Jan to go out there and pull it off. So again, hard to doubt Merab right now, but definitely something to keep our eye on. Yeah, John Fury type shit, man. Like, that's what it feels like. John Fury just trying to play that dad main character manager role is what I'm getting from Andy Aspinall, man. What's up, Inverted Free Solo? How you doing, man? What's up, Bearwolf Fish? Exactly that. Go away and come back strong. The victim tour, however reasonable, isn't going to have that. Dude, exactly the way that you just said it, basically. That's what I'm trying to say, man. And like, instead of like all the things that I'm saying, like short and cut. Tom, you got poked in the damn eyeballs. We saw it. We get it. Get yourself healthy. You don't need to come out here defending yourself over and over and over again, because at the end of the day, people are going to say what they're going to say, and you're not going to change their minds, really. People that are already feeling the way they are about you, whether it's negative or positive, that's how they're going to feel. But when you go on this tour of these interviews and the vlogs, and it just feels like it's so over the top to where people now are going to sit there and go, well, I am defending you, but you're doing all this. It's like you're going so far above and beyond to like defend yourself that like it comes off as like, am I missing it? Like, it's like weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know, but it's like when everything's going so well and you're like, why is my week been so good, man? When's the bullshit going to strike, you know? So it's like when a child lies, they do their best to justify it. That's what I was saying earlier on the live, man, like 100%. Like that's kind of like the vibes that you almost get when someone just keeps over and over and over again talking about it. So I want to move on from the Aspinall thing, though. Like I said, didn't want to make a video dedicated to it because at the end of the day, it is what it is. Hopefully he gets healthy and we see Tom Aspinall all right and back in 2026. Pantoja made weight. Merab made weight. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Now, let's move on because there is something else I do want to talk about as well. I don't know if you guys saw this week, but Ali Abdelaziz, I'm sure everybody in here knows who that is, the manager of Kamaru, of Islam, right? He gave a pretty awful interview with, I believe it was Mike Bond. And I thought it was horrible. He literally was basically, what's a big fan of Aspinall, but got to admit, he doesn't have that invisibility. That's what I've been saying, man. It's definitely taking a hit for sure. But that interview that Ali did, man, I thought it was one of the worst interviews that I have ever seen from a coach / manager of all time. Of all time. Literally, as long as the UFC has been around. Did you guys see that interview? I was thinking about doing a video on it, but I'm like, I'm going live today. We'll probably just discuss it here. But I mean, he literally is basically like, what has Ian Gary done to deserve a title shot? But what Kamaru has done to earn the title shot? So like, what ground do you have to stand on to basically say Ian Gary has done nothing pretty much and Kamaru Usman's done everything, so that's why Kamaru gets the title shot? This is a what have you done for me lately kind of business. It just is. It just is. And the fact is, Kamaru Usman is what, 1-3 in his last 4? And I get one of them with short notice against Hamzat, still lost. Got clearly outscored by Leon Edwards, lost the decision, got head kicked into the stratosphere to lose the belt. Comes back, beats Buckley. But at the end of the day, Buckley was overhyped. I mean, Buckley's still good, but I mean, Usman just showed levels with the ground game, but still. And to sit out there and basically running around campaigning for Kamaru Usman to get the next title shot because you want to double dip as a manager. That's what it is. Remember, at the end of the day, Ali is about serving himself at the end of the day. That's what we see with a lot of the decisions that tend to get made, right? If you have 2 fighters under the same management and you can sit there and go, we got a big title fight. I got 2 clients here and I can have them fight each other. Well, I get a piece of both sides instead of it just being like, oh, well, Islam's going to fight, Ian Gary, whatever. Like Ali's only a part of Islam. But if it's Islam and Kamaru, he gets the best of both worlds there. And that's why a lot of people question, is Ali always serving his fighters best as a manager? Because as a manager, your job is supposed to look out for the fighters to the best of your ability. You're supposed to get them, the matchups that they're looking for. You're supposed to be, doing your best to get them a title shot. And then he's sitting up there basically defending and explaining why. And I get from the business angle, nobody's dumb. Like, we all understand why Diego Lopez got the title shot over Volkanovski, or not over, against Volkanovski, and why Diego got the shot over Lerone and Mobstar, because the UFC's trying to push Diego Lopez. He's a very entertaining fighter. But at the end of the day, Lerone and Mobstar were the options. Those are the guys that should have been the options. And Ali is up there basically not pushing for why Mobstar should be the guy fighting for the title next. That is your client. That is the fighter under your management. Why were you not up there saying that, well, Mobstar's got to win over Diego? And I get it. That was Diego, I think, his debut, right? Short notice against Mobstar. So I get all those kinds of things. I get that. But as a manager, like if I'm a fighter's manager and I got Mobstar as a client and, Diego's getting that shot over Volk, I'm like, dude, my guy's undefeated. He's never lost. Right? He is a win over Diego Lopez, even though, like I said, it was short notice, debut for Lopez. I get it, but still it's a win. And I know Mobstar, what I feel like hurt him a little bit too has been some of the inactivity as well. If he would have fought Aaron Pico and beaten Aaron Pico, especially finished him, the case is even stronger. But at the end of the day, we clearly saw Lerone Murphy highlight reel KO'd Aaron Pico, which in my opinion, they would have given Pico the shot if he beat Lerone, but they're not going to give Lerone the shot off of beating Aaron Pico. And I've said this time and time again, guys, I just have this feeling, again, this is my opinion, I don't know for sure. Why in the world would Lerone Murphy take the risk to fight Aaron Pico on short notice in a co-main event of UFC 319? How did the UFC get him to take that fight? What does the UFC usually do? I feel like they probably were like, hey, man, you go out there and, this kid, we're high on him. He's good, right? If you go out there and shut down this hype, hey, man, and you go out there and put on an impressive performance, you get a finish or something, we can talk about a title fight. I feel like that because remember when Yair Rodriguez beat up over Patricio Pitbull? He didn't even get a finish. And remember, Yair's running around, give me my title shot. I talked to Hunter. I got my title shot. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, for Lerone to take that kind of risk and prove himself, and it's just crazy, man, the way the whole thing is played out. And to see that interview from Ali pushing for Usman versus Islam is just, it just is horrible. It's disgraceful, man. It's absolutely disgraceful. But like I said before in my video reacting to the UFC 324 announcements, I feel like we're just going to be complaining over and over and over again about a lot of the bookings that we're going to get moving forward. And I can't remember where I saw this. Maybe you guys can remind me. I don't know where I saw this. I saw some sort of interview. And they were talking about for CBS. They are the production crew that is working with the UFC and broadcasting the UFC and all this kind of stuff. They're looking for the names. They're looking for that casual appeal to draw in the spectators, to boost subscriptions, to all these kinds of things. So that told me right there, we're just going to get crazy undeserved fights out of nowhere. That's what that literally, I cannot remember where I saw that, man. I just saw it the other day. I'm trying to remember who was saying that. They were saying that they know CBS and the way that they work with the UFC and the direction that they're going and how they're looking at things. They want the big names. They want the flashy appeal. Well, maybe that helps explain some of the bookings that we're getting as well. Like, does Paramount, now that they're the one that's, backing up the racks, throwing all that money at the UFC to now be under the Paramount banner, are they going to be sitting there having their hand kind of in the matchmaking a little bit? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all interesting. Gon versus Pineda is probably happening next. That would be crazy. That would absolutely be crazy. Are you saying for like the interim belt, or are you guys think that they're going to strip Aspinall if it's going to be too long? I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to play out, man. What's up, Lahib? Do I think the UFC, what's up, Jack, by the way? Do I think the UFC became WWE, or is it just the first subcards to attract attention? It's a great question. I feel like we're not going to see WWE like stuff all the time, but I think that we're going to see it more than what we were in the past. We were already seeing it a lot. I feel like we were already seeing it a lot. And I feel like it's just going to be more now, because now think about Paramount, man. Like, think about all the different shows that are on there. I mean, they got three. I call them the big three for Paramount, man. You got Mobland with Tom Hardy. You got Landman, and then you got Tulsa King. You got three really big shows on there that a lot of people like. And there's even more stuff than that, right? They got SpongeBob on there. They got a lot of stuff on there. And now they got the UFC. Like, they got this new, thing to work with here, this massive fight promotion. Like, they're going to want to do everything that they can to draw in as many viewers as possible, increase subscriptions, all those kinds of things. So if you come to Paramount and say, like, I'm just thinking, behind the scenes, what could be going on? If pretend we're all in a meeting and we're all like, look, we're going to do Volkanovski versus, we're going to do Volk versus Lerone Murphy or Mobstar, because that is the number one deserving guy. And you go to Paramount and you say, this is what we want for this, one of these new cards under our deal here. And Paramount goes, they start doing their research. They look at the casual vibe to it. They're like, well, why wouldn't we give it to this exciting guy, Diego Lopez, who just got a knockout at Noche UFC, who a lot of people like more than Mobstar and Lerone Murphy? Even though those are the rightful deserving guys, we care about the ratings. Diego Lopez, more exciting, bigger fan base. That's what we want. That's what I see going on behind the scenes right now. Personally, that's what I think is going on as well. Thank you for the $2 tuxedo, man. I really appreciate that. But these super chats make my day, man. I appreciate it. UFC needs to Diddy Tom and strip him. Dude, that is wild, man. That is wild, dude. That is wild. But listen, man, depending on how long he's going to be out for, they may strip him. Pause. You know what I mean? But strip him. Strip the belt off of him, right? When you say strip him, we got to be a little bit more, we got to be a little bit more transparent with what we're describing there, right? Because when the UFC was saying they were going to strip John Jones, man, John Jones is getting excited out here. That's why he's like, take that belt off me, Dana. You know what I'm saying? If you guys could like the stream too, I would appreciate it, man. But yeah, I think that I don't know that they are going to strip him. I think, in my opinion, here's what might happen. Is the UFC going to sit there and say, listen, we see all this stuff going on, Tom. This is what's going on. Well, how long is this going to be? Maybe the UFC gets their staff involved. I don't know, because doesn't the UFC have their own medical team or whatever they do? Are they going to take a look at Tom Aspinall? I don't know. And try to figure this whole thing out, determine how long is he going to be out for, because dude, we're seeing champions sit on the side for damn near, like Ilia Topuria fought in, what was that, June, International Fight Week? He's not going to fight again probably until June again. So that's a year. And Tom Aspinall, even though it got stopped due to, a no contest, so technically it's not, it's a fight because you showed up, whatever. But at the same time, it's not really a fight, but it still kind of counts to a degree. So basically, is the UFC going to strip him if he doesn't fight within a year? That would be kind of wild considering how they're letting a lot of guys, or they're sidelining guys for extended periods of time. So depending on how long he's out for, if this is that serious, like what it sounds like, and Tom's not going to get cleared and whatever, I could see the UFC looking to do that and move on, put up the vacant title on the line. Maybe they do Gane versus Poatan, which stylistically that's very fun. Or they do Waldo if he KOs, Derek Lewis. The UFC, I think, is going to wait and sit back and see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting, though, man. What's up? Dripcat Duplamanov. My thoughts on Jones versus Hamzat clip. Hamzat is incredibly strong, man. His wrestling is incredible. Really is. Disgraceful is the perfect word to describe that. Usman Islam, what did that say? Just scroll past. Would be a travesty to the sport. Usman has the name value, but at the end of the day, he's not in his prime anymore. He's still good, but I want to see Islam for the benefit of his resume, but also for the fact that, in my opinion, the welterweight division is the best division in the UFC right now. Like, I don't really think that there's really any debate. I think that it is the best division in the UFC right now. You have a new champion in Islam who literally has only fought JDM and hasn't fought like anyone else in the weight class. How exciting is that? And to say that Kamaru Usman should get a title shot when Ian Gary is the only guy to beat Carlos Pratis in the UFC, who, by the way, Pratis has KO'd everybody, I think, else, right? So outside of Gary, he's knocked everybody out. Ian Gary beat that guy. Ian Gary beat Jeff Neal. He beat MVP. He took Shavkat on short notice and gave him a run for his money. Beat Bilal Muhammad, former champion, number one contender, who Kamaru Usman wanted no parts of. So when you're doing that kind of stuff, I feel like Ian Gary should get the title shot. But if you sit there and say, I'm sorry, Jake, can't give Ian Gary the title shot, then there's only three other names that could possibly, you could get me to kind of turn my head around and actually listen to you. And that would be Shavkat Rakhmonov. But then there's the argument, he's been out for a while, right? He's been injured. He's had other things going on. So there's explanations there. And he is undefeated. And he did beat Ian Gary. Even though it's competitive, he still beat Ian Gary. So I could listen to a Shavkat Rakhmonov argument. Then there's Michael Morales, who I think is a very, very strong case, considering the fact that he took out Sean Brady, who was one of the top guys. Brady might have been ranked number one, or I don't know. I don't know if he was ranked number one. Top of the weight class, for sure. Came off a big win against Leon Edwards. Submitted Leon Edwards. Was very, very impressive. But now we're seeing Leon on the 3-fight skid. Right, but at the end of the day, Morales is big. He's strong. He's powerful. If you're going out there and you're starching Sean Brady like that, that is wildly impressive, man. Wildly impressive like that. The way that Morales did it, and he's undefeated. He's marketable, man. He's strong. He's young. He's hungry. He's powerful. Like, he's a guy that you could throw in there. Carlos Pratis, outside of the loss to Ian Gary, is knocking everybody out. And to go out there and KO Leon, be the first person to do that, it's impressive. It's impressive. So to me, it's either Ian Gary. Ian Gary, to me, is the clear guy, in my opinion. I think it's pretty clear that it should be Ian Gary. But if it's not, and we had to have an argument, and we had to sit down and bring up three other guys, it's Shavkat, Michael Morales, Carlos Pratis. Kamaru Usman is nowhere near in the conversation. He's not in the conversation. And if you said, well, I think Bilal Muhammad right now, if he went out there and picked up a win over a mid-ranked guy, he should be back in the title conversation. What would people say? They'd be like, no way, dude. No way, no way, no way. And why? oh, well, he lost his belt. He got beat up by JDM, and then he lost to Ian Gary. Okay, so two of the best strikers in the weight class. But in Bilal Muhammad, people would say he shouldn't get a title shot just because he beat some mid-ranked guy. They would be like, he doesn't get a title shot. But Kamaru Usman, because of what he's done in the past, not recently, what he's done in the past, he's just supposed to skip the line while we got all these dominant welterweights that are young, hungry, and motivated and being super active. Well, actually, for the most part, some of them are. Now that I think about it, some of them are pretty active. But Morales hasn't been the most active, either a Shavkat. But at the end of the day, they're still putting on impressive performances. I feel like if Kamaru Usman came back and like he beat like an Ian Gary or something, his case would have been much stronger. But at the end of the day, you can't give Kamaru Usman the shot. They're going to do it, man. I'm telling you, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. If they're doing Paddy Pimblett versus Gaethje for an interim belt to headline the Paramount card, and they're going to do Diego Lopez versus Volk, come on, man. Like, to say that they're not going to do Islam versus Usman, like, Diego Lopez got 49-46 by Volkanovski. I know he got an impressive win over Jean Silva, but still, Kamaru Usman, Dana, and what tells me as well is Dana going, Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight of all time, which, by the way, I think it's GSP. And we're going to get to something about Kamaru Usman in just a second. Thank you, Craze, for the membership, man. I really appreciate you, man. You've been a longtime supporter of the channel. I greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you. But if you guys are interested in becoming a member, it supports the channel, man. And in the new year, we're going to have some new content coming your way, man. We're going to be firing up a Discord that's going to be for members of the channel. And then I'm going to have some technique content coming your way as well, man. Coach JG out here, man. We're going to have some striking content coming your way. So some behind the scenes stuff, all sorts of different things, man. I got some wild ideas for membership stuff, man. So we're going to be vamping that up. And people say, well, why are you going to put the Discord only for members? Because I've seen how these Discords work, man, and they get wild. And if you just hand it out to anybody, you get a bunch of trolls, you get a bunch of that stuff. I don't want any of that. So at the end of the day, if you're serious, man, we got some fun things on the way, and it really supports the channel, man, and it helps me out, and I really appreciate it, man. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Back to Kamaru Usman real quick. Don't you remember? Now, those of you that have been around for a while, I think it was in my breakdown for Buckley versus Usman, and I was wrong. I picked Buckley to win. I was wrong. But I did say something crazy that pissed a lot of people off. And now it's starting to come to light about the reality of Kamaru Usman's resume. Now, I understand when Kamaru fought these guys, they were good. But if you look back at these wins, man, hey, man, that resume, it's aged kind of bad. It has, man. It has. And I understand maybe it's not fair because fighters are good. And then when they start to get a little older and they kind of fizzle out, that it's like, we can't really hold that against them. Tyron Woodley, Gilbert Burns, Masvidal twice, Covington twice, Buckley beat the dog shit out of Colby. You see where I'm going with this? You see where I'm going with this? And I think Kamaru Usman is amazing. I really do. And you could critique GSP's resume as well. So I'm not going to say, I had to think about that for a second because I was about to say, hey, GSP's resume. And then I'm like, wait a second here. Maybe Usman's resume maybe it is better. Maybe it is better than GSP's because GSP's is not that great either. I got to be honest. But at the end of the day, Usman has some great wins. He's got big names on there. But if you go back and look, man, recycled rematches with Masvidal, which at the end of the day, I think Masvidal is an amazing striker. But again, is he world championship material? Fun guy, but he's got quite a bit of losses on his record. And I love Masvidal, man. That's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I love his sweet boxing Muay Thai style. Love me some game bread, man. But we got to keep it honest at the end of the day. I have always said, and Crazy, yes, I remember you've been saying that as well too, man. I'm telling you, dude, I've been saying it for a long time that Kamaru Usman's resume it's a little bit overrated. And maybe if you don't want to say overrated and you want to say that that's a stretch, then it just hasn't aged that well. Because Colby Covington, look what's happened to him recently. Look what happened to Woodley towards the back end. But those guys in their primes, they were very, very good. And to look at the resumes as well, it's not like GSP has this crazy strong case for a resume either, right? So I got to be honest there. But Dana White, my point is Dana White thinks that Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight of all time. That's enough to be said right there as to why I think that Kamaru is going to get the next shot against Islam, because Ali's going to push for it. And Ali plays this game like, I don't have much influence. UFC is just going to do what they're going to do at the end of the day. Bullshit. Ali Abdelaziz has a lot of influence, and he knows that he does, and he tries to downplay it. That's why a lot of the decisions that get made where it's like, why is your fighter taking this fight? Why is your fighter taking this fight? And then why is your fighter over here getting a shot when he shouldn't get one? It's just because at the end of the day, a lot of people say that Ali is working more for the UFC than his fighters. And when you see certain things, it does come off that way. It definitely comes off that way, man. So what made GSP's resume special to you is that he outgrappled so many guys that on paper should have had a major advantage. And that's true, right? What Matt Serra, Hughes, like he's some dogs, man. And that's to me like GSP's style too. Like what would a prime GSP versus Kamaru Usman? I think prime GSP could beat Usman. Because I think that it would neutralize, they would end up on the feet and it would be striking. And do we think that Usman's a better striker than GSP? I'm not so sure about that. Joshua Van made weight too. Good. I'm excited to see Van tomorrow night as well, man. Ali has access to their Twitter and posts for them. Here's the deal, man. And I said this at the end of one of my videos recently. I am sick and tired of sitting up here being like, well, one Ankalaev and one Umar, one this guy, one that guy, because it was Ali or it wasn't Diego Lopez or whoever that posted. It was on his account, but did he post it? I don't know. It might have been his manager. At the end of the day, you weren't hacked. It came from your account. You're responsible for it. You're responsible for it. Companies, different places, they have social media managers. And sometimes maybe something gets posted or said that they didn't like the way it was said. And they get a bunch of backlash. And what do a lot of the companies normally say? I didn't, whether they had something to do with it or not, they're like, that didn't have something to do with me, which usually I feel like they saw it and they just like kind of want to just shit on the social media team a little bit. But they're like, hey, man, like that was a social media team. But at the end of the day, we take full responsibility for it because that is our company. And at the end of the day, fighters, I look at it kind of the same way. If it's coming from your account, you're responsible for it. So if you don't like what's being said, take away the account from whoever the hell is posting for you. It's that simple to me, man. So that's my mentality moving forward. I'm tired of trying to decipher if it's these fighters or their managers posting, because at the end of the day, it's coming from your account. You know what I mean? The only thing Usman had over GSP is in striking is the power. And Usman's got a good jab and a good straight right hand, but I feel like GSP a little bit more sophisticated on the feet. It'd be a fun fight, though. Prime Usman versus Prime GSP, that'd be a great fight. Did I see Bogdan Guskov's new nickname? No, I didn't, but I saw that he's that he dressed up as the Hitman or whatever at the press conference, which was pretty cool. Craze, you're excited to see Nazim Sadikov? Me as well, man. Him versus Faresiam is going to be a great fight. That's actually the fight I'm the most excited for on the entire card. Stylistically, I think that's very intriguing. Jan defended Merab's takedowns better than anyone except Aldo, so I don't think he'll get ran over that badly. So what's up, bands, by the way? It's not so much about, the takedowns. It's just the way that Merab just throws them at you, gets you down even for a second, makes you react, think, and then that's going to open up the striking on top of it. And that's just kind of the reality, is the threatening of it. So it's not so much that Merab has to have success with the takedowns, because he doesn't have the best control anyway. And that's kind of what he did in the first fight, is just spam a bunch of takedowns against Jan, who's already more of like a, slow starter, tries to pick his shots and be all slow and methodical. Just stop the motor of Jan. Stop him in his tracks, get him reacting, get him thinking, get him to stop throwing so much out there to where Merab is going to be able to outscore him. I think that's what Merab's game plan is going to be. So you think that Usman's ground game is far superior than Usman, Mike, is what you're thinking? Yeah, I'm not saying GSP would take him down. I'm just saying, would Usman be able to consistently take down GSP? I feel like it would end up playing out on the feet and it would be a striking battle. He gave himself the nickname Hitman. I don't like when fighters give themselves nicknames, man. I think that is cringe. Did you see how Guskov would not look into the eyes of the legendary Polish power? He would not look Jan Blachowicz in the eyes, man. I'm rooting for Jan, man. I like Guskov, but I'm rooting for Jan, man. I'm rooting for Jan. Yeah, I think Jan's going to do better. I think it's going to be more competitive than it was the first time. But I still think that Merab will edge it out. Listen, I'm rooting for Jan. I haven't said that in my video. I hope Jan can win, but it's tough, man. It's tough to pick against Merab right now. Who do I think wins, O'Malley or Yadong? Yadong. I feel like O'Malley is being seriously underestimated in that fight. No, I think O'Malley wins. I even said that in my preview and reaction to it. I think that Sean O'Malley wins that fight. I think he can outscore him, and I wouldn't even be shocked if he could knock him out, dude. Sean O'Malley is, people forget, man. Sean O'Malley is a sniper on the feet. And if you don't have like a crazy ground game, Song does have kind of capable offensive wrestling, but is it good enough to control Sean O'Malley on the ground? Even if he threatens it, I think that he's going to threaten it early just to put the thought in O'Malley's head to where it could help open up the striking and make it a little bit more even on the feet. But, you know, Song has been consistently fighting some of the best guys in the weight class. So I think Song is for real, but I think Sean O'Malley definitely wins that fight. I feel pretty confident in Sean O'Malley beating Song Yadong. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks him out. And if he doesn't knock him out, he will clearly outstrike him, man. Sean O'Malley is really good on the feet. Really good on the feet. Fast, very dynamic, very, you know, flashy, explosive, times his shots well, very hard to hit clean. People forget, man, Sean O'Malley is a very high-level striker. He very much is. Just because he lost to Merab twice and got an undeserved rematch, he's still very good. Very, very good. When you go in there and go toe-to-toe with Petr Yan, whether it was a robbery or not, that says a lot about your striking, in my opinion. When you don't have to grapple at all and Yan is grappling with, you know, trying to grapple against you, and you're out there going toe-to-toe with him and you're stinging Yan on the feet, that tells me all I need to know about your striking. I love Yan as well, man. I love not Yan, Jan Blachowicz. Not, I was about to say Petr Yan, but yeah, I like both Jans, man. Jan Blachowicz, Petr Yan. I like both guys, man. O'Malley's being underrated because he got ran over twice. I agree. And again, that's by Merab, who I think is the GOAT bantamweight. Who do I think will win a fight between Sterling and Sabatini? That's a great fight. That is a great fight, man. And considering what Pat Sabatini just did against Chepe Mariscal, I'm pretty impressed. But Sterling, I mean, hey, now that's one of the better guys in the weight class when it comes to the ground game. I think Aljamain Sterling would beat him. I would pick Sterling to win that fight. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. Aljo retweeted something I posted the other day. I didn't even know about it. Somebody told me, or no, somebody told me that James Lynch shouted me out in his video. And then, so I watched the video, and the reason he shouted me out was because he was going through Aljamain Sterling's tweets, reacted to the Diego Lopez tweet. And then Aljo retweeted something of mine. So I didn't even know that. So that was kind of cool. So I'll show you what that is. And by the way, Ariel Helwani, we'll take a look at a couple of my tweets for just a second. And then we'll come back to the live. Come back to the live in just a second, man. So when Ariel said this, Ian Machado Gary has done more in the past year, won more, fought more, and helped the UFC more than Kamaru Usman has in the last 4 years. In the past year, Ian Machado Gary has fought 3 times. Short notice against Shavkat, short notice win in the main event against Protest, and then he defeated former champion Bilal Muhammad. To me, 100% facts by Ariel Helwani here. Okay. Ariel said this as well. Ariel was spitting some facts recently, man. He was spitting some facts. Okay, 2 things that I said. Yes, I'm excited about the UFC or the Paramount UFC area. God, I can't talk, man. Era. Yes, I'm excited because some huge fights were just announced. However, it's very obvious the sport is becoming a WWE-like format. We will rarely see the top guy fight the champ anymore. This has been going on here and there. Now I fear that is officially the new norm. And I feel like that's reality, man. Given what we're seeing, the UFC is clearly. Can you guys see my screen? I feel like you can see my screen. But at the end of the day, I feel like that's kind of facts, man. Like the UFC is trying to go in the direction of, you know, now that they got the Paramount deal, Paramount's a big platform. I don't know that it's just going to be the matchmakers going, oh, well, we got the best possible, best on best fight that we can make. I just don't see how they're really going to do that anymore. I think that they're going to say, who is the guy that is the most marketable and the guy that we want to be the champion is going to get the shot first. And that's what you're seeing in the Diego Lopez situation. 100%, man. And then there's this one right here that Aljo ended up retweeting. Aljo retweeted this one. So this was my reaction to the Alexander Volkanovski news. This is exactly what I said when I saw this. Now, this right here is an absolute disgrace, which it 100% is. They just hoping one of the greatest of all time gets knocked the fuck out or something. I like Diego, but he just got outclassed by Volk for 25 minutes, 49-46. I know Diego knocked him down and almost KO'd him, but still, he got outscored pretty convincingly. Yes, great win over Silva, but that doesn't mean get thrown in for the rematch like this. What the fuck did Volk do, man, to be treated like this? It should have been Lerone or Mobsar, who are on win streaks and haven't fought for the title yet. Big bullshit. That's my new go-to. Big bullshit, man. That's the reality. That's the reality, and that's exactly how I feel. What does this do for Volkanovski's legacy? The UFC doesn't care. They're like, we think he might retire. We hope you get knocked out by Diego Lopez so he can become the champion. So this was the tweet. Yeah, I got quite a bit of interaction, man. So yeah, it got retweeted by Aljo. So because I saw on James Lynch's video, that's how I knew that Al retweeted it. I had no idea. So that was pretty cool, man. So what's up, Stay K? How you doing, man? Bruno Ferreira is 3 pounds overweight. Is that for real? I didn't see that. I didn't see it yet. Talbot and Ziam make weight. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm excited for that Talbot versus Cejudo fight. Do I hope that Khamzat loses his next fight so we don't get middleweight title fights once a year, half a year? No, I hope Khamzat wins, and I hope that he has a long reign as champion. I believe that a lot of this is the UFC's fault as well. The UFC, Khamzat wanted to fight before the end of the year. Khamzat wanted to fight before the end of the year. I knew that after he fought DDP that he wasn't going to fight again this year. I even said that. He wanted to fight in the next contender, whether it was RDR or whoever. I knew it wasn't going to happen. One, because they already had a main event, which was Aspinall versus Gane for 321. They weren't going to put Khamzat on there to kind of overshadow the heavyweight division that needs the hype to it. So they didn't want the Khamzat show to come rolling in, and then it becomes all about Khamzat. They could have done 323. They didn't have an event for it, but that's the last pay-per-view under ESPN. So the UFC said, we're going to put the 2 light weight classes up there and have those title fights to get them out of the way. That's the way I looked at it from the UFC. They were going to put a massive star to end the ESPN era, and they were going to save Khamzat for the Paramount deal. That's what I figured. That's why Ilya didn't fight again this year. The UFC, to me, is also to a degree icing and strategically utilizing their champions and their big names. And then Khamzat apparently, what was it saying? Some sort of operation, surgery, whatever. He wanted to fight before the end of the year. So I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on. The UFC has a schedule that they're obviously looking at. And I've said this before. I've been critical of fighters like, get back in there, get back in there. I think a lot of that has to do with the UFC, with this Paramount deal, and looking to space things out. But again, that's what I've been kind of leaning on as a crutch, man. So we're going to find out. So I hope we get an active Khamzat. Dude, in my opinion, champions should defend twice a year. If you're healthy, defend twice a year. We see Islam on that schedule. And I've said before, I feel like Khamzat will be on the Islam schedule moving forward, hopefully, which is to fight in the beginning of the year and the end of the year. And that would be great. You know, fight in January, February, beginning of February, early February, right? January, Ramadan off, after Ramadan, come back, springtime, basically, summer, you know, could be that, you know, you fight in January, February, you're not going to fight, you know, have Ramadan, then fight it. Like, it's not going to work like that. It would be early in the year and then end of the year, like November, December, October. That's what I see for Khamzat's, like how they will look to book him. That's what I think the UFC is going to look to do. So, but yeah, a lot of champions, man, short notice fights, you're going to have to really pay up for that. You're going to have to really pay up for that. Not a lot of fighters want to take short notice fights, man. Not a lot of champions, at least, because the championship money is real, man. And at the end of the day, a lot of fighters want to feel very prepared. Justin Gaethje's another guy that doesn't like to take short notice fights. Remember when Gaethje was very known for saying, I like a 12-week camp. I need a 12-week camp. So that way he could phase his body in. He could get himself in really good shape. Him and Trevor Whitman were like talking about it. And I think it was one of Gaethje's vlogs or something where they were breaking down like their whole training system and why they want 12 weeks and this and that. So, hey man, a lot of fighters like their routines. They don't want to come in on a short notice fight, especially when you're the champion because of what's at stake. When you're the champion, there's a lot of perks, man. You got the belt, obviously, but the financial upside, you know, the sponsorships, all the different deals, all the things you get to being the champion. You know what I mean? Thanks again for the $2 tuxedo, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for the generosity. I appreciate it, dog. The sport isn't even worth doing without becoming champ. So you're saying that you should be getting into the sport to become a champion. Is that's what you're saying? I feel like every fighter that gets into the sport, at least 90, I'd say 95% at least get into the sport to become a champion. Then you got guys like Kevin Holland, Nate Diaz, that I think could really care less about becoming the champion. I feel like they could care less. They just want to entertain. They just want to go out there and scrap, and they don't care if they win or lose. They just want to be an exciting personality and be a guy that are entertainment. So Holland, Diaz, Masvidal, the reason that he was so adamant about fighting for belts towards the end of his career, at least, well, I think he's going to come back and fight. I don't know what Masvidal's doing, but the financial side of it. That financial side of it is what Masvidal started to understand, was the financial game. That's why he was like, I'm waiting out to fight Usman because of, the financials that come with it as well. Now, I'm not saying for the challenger, but if you become the champion, you get some upside there. You're saying, thanks again for the $2, man. I really appreciate it. You're saying financially, so champs will stall naturally. What if you're listen, put yourself in the champion in the champion shoes right now, right? Pretend you are the UFC fighter. Say you're the lightweight champ right now. All right. If the UFC calls you, right? Say you're making, I'm just throwing numbers. I'm just for the point sake, I'm just making this up. Say you make $1 million per fight as the champion, where if you're not the champion, you lose that belt, you're only making $500K as the challenger. Are you really going to sit there and come back from, say they're going to say, oh, well, you get $1 million, but you're doing short notice. You're doing us a favor. We're going to give you 1.3 million. But if you go out there and lose, well, you lose the perks, the paper, which again, it's going to be different because they're going to be under Paramount, the pay-per-view points. Not sure how that's all going to work, but you lose that benefit. Now you're the challenger, those pay-per-view points and all that. You're not the champ anymore. So now your financial side is completely different. So a lot of fighters are like, wait a minute. I'm doing you a favor. You're going to pay me a little bit more money, but I'm defending my belt here. I want to be as prepared as possible to go into battle to where if I am giving myself the best chance to go in there and win, because you might pay me a little bit more in short notice. I'm doing you a favor, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Volkanovski did how many favors for the UFC, and look how they're repaying him at the tail end of his career. They're like, we will hope you get knocked out by Diego Lopez, which is my opinion. They hope he gets knocked out by Volk, or they hope that Lopez knocks out Volk. They're not like, we don't care about your legacy, Volk. We don't want to give you exciting fights for the fans to add to your resume, like a Lerone Murphy, like Mobstar. We're going to feed you the young, hungry, marketable guy that we want in Diego. So at the end of the day, a lot of the fighters, especially those guys, they're smart and they understand that the UFC is a business. They're a company, and they act like they love you so much. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're going to do what's best for the business first. And a lot of fighters have wisened up to that, man. And that's why a lot of them aren't going to risk a belt on short notice. They're just not going to do it. And if they do it, a guy like Poatan, who's a absolute G for that man, saving cards, I'm sure that Poatan has gotten paid for that. I'm just guessing. He's like, you want me to come save this card, dog? You're not paying me normally what I get, because why would you do it? You know what I mean? So the financial side, in my opinion, has to be upped in order for you to take that kind of chance. And then that's why a guy like Poatan, they're going to prolong tough stylistic matchups for you. They're going to throw you some bones. They're going to give you some favors. They might allow you to skip the line or do something. You know what I mean? Like a guy like Izzy, who is super active, defending his belt all the time, fighting anybody. Volkanovski, same thing. They're going to give you opportunities. And I feel like that is part of the reason they look at Gaethje and say, you want a title shot? Whatever. We'll give you an interim fight. All the times Gaethje has stepped up, all the fight, of the night candidates, performance bonuses, the knockouts, the scraps, all that stuff, right? I'm not saying that Gaethje should have gotten, the shot. I don't think he should have, but I'm saying that's what the UFC, I think they value that kind of stuff, man. They do, to a degree. But then when you're talking about you're possibly going to retire, then they're like, okay, get in there with a young guy that we're trying to build, So that's kind of my thoughts on that, is why, like a lot of these champions, a lot of them are wise, man. They're not just going to step in there on short notice to save a card and possibly lose their belt. And then the financial side drastically changes, right? And again, certain guys get paid big money just because of their name, whether, I even think before, like a guy like Nate, he didn't have a belt. He was getting paid big, I'm sure, right? Conor doesn't have a belt anymore, but again, that's Conor. He's different. Jones, I mean, he's had the belt, but, the name value, guys like, even Masvidal, Hamzat before he had the title. So there's different cases. Jorge was probably a championship level fighter, but plagued by bad decisions and inconsistency. Definitely not a champ level fighter in this current era. Now, I looked at Gamebred as more of like a fun striker to watch, but wasn't exactly a world champion, but super fun to watch. And in this current welterweight division, I mean, he would get knocked out by Protest and Morales. Like those guys would knock him out. He would, like Ian Gary would tag him up on the feet as well. I like Masvidal a lot, man. One of my favorite fighters to watch of all time. I love his striking, but this new welterweight division is different. They really, really are. Where does Pantoja Merab happen? Who wins? I feel like if it happened, it would be Pantoja moving up to 135 pounds. And I think Merab beats Pantoja. I feel like outside of a submission, like Merab hits harder. He's got the wrestling. I don't think that the ground game of Pantoja would really trouble Merab much. Just my honest opinion. I like both guys a lot in terms of what they bring to the table, what they've been doing. I'm just being honest the way I look at it. I think Merab is a disaster for Pantoja. His strength, a lot of what Pantoja weaponizes is, great technique, a great ground game, sneaky power on the feet. He's very physically strong for the weight class. He's kind of sacrificing his best attributes in a Merab matchup. And I think Pantoja knows that. I think Pantoja obviously would take the opportunity, but I think he understands that Merab is a really rough style matchup for him. So is he really summoned when he said Alex was just I beat that guy one time, a guy, and they said while on the verge of middleweight GOAT status that Alex was nothing. Hey, man, he woke up a beast in Poatan Pineda. I'm glad that happened because Pineda has been one of the best things to ever happen to the UFC. Probably the best signing, one of them, probably the best signing ever, man, coming from like an outside promotion or, it was in kickboxing, but still. It's to the detriment of the fighter to act like the promotion is their friend. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. Volkanovski, all the shit that he did, and look what they're doing to him. Both title fights are on. Both made weight. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, man. We're going to move on to the last bit of this live. I'm going to give my final preview for UFC 323. Let me share my screen. Let's pull up the UFC's website. It should be updated. All right, I think it's updated. Let's start. First fight of the night. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen my predictions video. If you have not, do me a favor, check it out. I am picking Myron Santos still to beat Muhammad Naimov by a decision. I think that Myron Santos wins this fight. I think he's got good rangy striking, good from the outside, long straight shots down the middle, mixes up combinations to the body pretty well. Nasty leg kicks. I think his takedown defense will hold up in this fight. And I just think it comes down to the fact that Naimov isn't the most dangerous guy. I feel like you have to offer that danger factor to really trouble Santos at this point. I know Santos, it was arguably, it kind of was a robbery against Marshall. I know he basically outstruck him, landed some good damage, and I feel like that's what the judges rewarded there. But yeah, I think Myron Santos, he's just going to outstrike Naimov. And I think even if Naimov takes him down, Myron Santos is going to land the more damaging shots. So I got Santos getting it done by decision. Mansour Abdulmalik, I think that Mansour is going to win this fight. Maybe it's not going to be as easy as I originally thought. I was saying Mansour by like a round 1 TKO or something like that, but it may take a little bit longer because Antonio Tricoli's he's shown even though he's not the greatest fighter, he's still big, still kind of tough, but I don't know, man. I feel like if Mansour is as good as a lot of people want to say that he is, I think that he should go out there and run over Tricoli in the first round. That's just my opinion. I don't think Tricoli's that dangerous. So I'm going Mansour still by a round 1 finish. Iwo versus Ebo. I'm still going with Baranowski here, man. I think he goes out there and starches Ebo Aslan. And if he doesn't starch him with a big power shot, I think he beats him up on the ground. Iwo Baranowski has an extensive amateur background. He's good on the ground, good ground and pound, submission game, power on the feet. So that's kind of how I look at it, man. I think I'm lagging a little bit from sharing my screen. Sometimes that happens. So let me stop doing that. I'll just call him out. Okay. But yeah, I think Iwo beats Ebo by a finish in the first round. Barboza, Turner. I got Turner KOing Edson Barboza. I just don't like what we've seen from Edson Barboza recently, man. It's very obvious to me that he's slowing down. So I think Jalen Turner gets a finish. I think the UFC still sees potential in Jalen. He's fun to watch, good kickboxer. He should win this fight against Edson Barboza. I think he gets a finish. Vittori, Bruno Ferreira. I think that Bruno Ferreira beats Marvin by a decision. I think that he just lands the more damaging shots. I think Marvin definitely is capable because Bruno Ferreira, tends to fade as the fights play on. But I don't know. I like the damage that Bruno Ferreira lands on guys. Man, he's got some serious power. Nazim Sadikov for SCM. I am taking Nazim Sadikov to win the fight, but I don't have a ton of confidence in it. I think that for SCM is maybe the better fighter overall, more technical, but Sadikov's power is really good. He's got dangerous power. His boxing, I meant to say his boxing is really good. Obviously, his power is really good, but his boxing's good, mixes up the combinations well, digs to the body, nasty kicking game. And he does have a solid ground game as well. I know ZM has really improved his ground game, but I think Nazim's going to look to grapple a little bit in this fight as well. And he's got nasty submissions as well. So I favor Nazim to win it by a competitive decision. I got Macy Barber beating Corinne Silva. I just think her volume and activity will get it done. I still think Chris Duncan's going to finish McKinney, but again, if Duncan doesn't get the finish, McKinney's going to run him over in the first round. So I think Duncan is live to get a finish in the first round or in round two. The most shocking thing to me on the card would be that McKinney and Duncan go in the distance. I would be shocked. I think McKinney gets a KO in round one, or maybe even drops them and then subs them, club and sub. But I think Duncan could even possibly KO McKinney. McKinney's defense isn't that good. Very, very hittable. Duncan's got good kicks. We've seen, Esteban Ribovic knock out McKinney with a head kick. So I think Duncan could do something similar. I'm going Duncan by round one KO. Dawson Manuel Torres. I still think Torres is going to be able to knock him out in the first round, but if he doesn't get the first round KO, I feel like Grant Dawson is going to be able to beat him. He'll be able to control him on the ground. He might even be able to find a submission later as the fight plays out. So I'm going to take a shot on Manuel Torres to get that first round KO, but if he doesn't get it done in round one, I think Grant Dawson will probably end up winning by a decision with control time or maybe even gets a sub. Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. I got Jan Blachowicz by a finish, man. I could see him getting a knockout. I could see him even getting a submission. I think he's going to look to grapple a little in this fight. And while I think Guskov does have a solid ground game, I still think Jan's better on the ground. I still think that Jan is probably better on the ground. I do worry about the gas tank because one thing about an older Jan, he seems to fatigue a little bit. But he's got that slow, plotty style to where it's very energy efficient. So I think Jan Blachowicz is going to win this fight. I think he could outscore Guskov to a decision. But again, it seems like when these guys go to a decision with Jan Blachowicz, Jan doesn't get these decisions. So I would say that Jan wins this fight by a second round finish. I think I said a submission. I could see him utilizing his ground game, but he's also got sneaky power as well, man. So, and Guskov holds his hands low. I think the calf kicks are going to be a big weapon in this fight for Jan. Talbot Cejudo. I'm still going Peyton Talbot by a decision, but I think if Henry Cejudo fights smart, which he usually does, calf kicks from the outside, straight right hand down the pipe. He's got some solid striking. I feel like Cejudo, while he's got the wrestling, he doesn't do the best job controlling guys, but we saw Hani Barcelos give Talbot a lot of issues. And I would like to think that, Cejudo's wrestling is definitely better than Barcelos, but I feel like Barcelos is better jiu-jitsu than a guy like Cejudo, which is, I feel like, is something that a lot of people are missing. So in terms of the full package on the ground, Barcelos is probably a better overall grappler in MMA than Cejudo. I don't think that's crazy to say. And then we saw how Talbot dealt with Lima. I think the youth, the speed, the size, and the power of Peyton Talbot is going to be a little bit of a problem for Henry Cejudo. I think it's competitive, but I think it's pretty clear that Peyton Talbot gets it done by decision. So I'm going to go still with Peyton Talbot by a decision. But if Henry Cejudo could get the takedowns and control Talbot, Cejudo could definitely pull it off. Because it's not like Cejudo's looked bad at his recent fights, right? He's fought Merab, Aljo, even though he's not winning, those are two really, really good fighters, obviously. And then he's losing to, Song Yadong, but it was the eye poke situation. Cejudo's look pretty good. Even though he's not winning, he still looks good. Moreno, Tyra, I'm going Brandon Moreno, man. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Brandon Moreno in this fight. I think Tatsuro Tyra is really, really good, but something's telling me Moreno's going to win the fight. He's scrambly, got solid takedown defense. When he gets taken down, he pops back up. You got to worry, though, with Tyra because of how good his back takes are. Nasty rear naked choke. His striking is improving. But I'm going to take a shot on Moreno to pull off the upset here. I think Moreno's probably the underdog, right? I'm going to go Brandon Moreno. I think he gets it done. His striking is better. I think he's scrambly on the ground, scrappy. I think Moreno pulls it off. Pantoja Van, I'm going Pantoja by round 2 sub. I like Joshua Van a lot. I could see if Van can stop the takedowns and have an answer for that. I could see him going out there, busting up Joshua or busting up Pantoja. We've seen Pantoja's hittable. He gets a little bit wild at times. Van's got excellent boxing, man. His takedown defenses look good. I just feel like there is levels when it comes to the ground game here, and I think that Pantoja is going to show that in this fight. But if Van can stuff the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, he's definitely going to give Pantoja a run for his money. I just think that the ground game of Pantoja is going to be a little bit too much. Give me Pantoja by second round sub. And I got Merab winning a decision. I think Jan will make it more competitive, but I think Jan, I just don't know, man. I feel like he's going to have the slow start like he normally does. Merab's going to get ahead. He's going to start with the takedowns. Maybe he doesn't get them, but it's the thought of them, the threat of them. And it's going to open up the striking of Merab, which, by the way, Merab's striking, as I've said before, is very much improved. And he was landing that calf kick against Jan a lot in that first fight. So I think Merab's going to look to attack that again, look to get to his hands as well, threaten with the level changes, be evasive on the outside. Merab's a lot smarter of a fighter in there than I think what people tend to give him credit for. If you go back and watch some of these Merab fights, he fights smart with a game plan, gets wild when he needs to. I think he does enough to be able to win this one. I think it's going to be competitive. I think that Jan's going to win a round or two, but I still think that Merab is going to edge this one out convincingly and get a decision nod over Piotr Jan in the rematch. Those are my final picks, man. Nothing's changed for UFC 323, man. So a couple more, and then I'm going to hop off here, man. I hope you guys have enjoyed the live stream, man. But yeah, at the end of the day, like when I say that about Diego Lopez, I'm not saying like I think I would probably pick Diego to beat Mobstar and Lerone Murphy. So off of that logic, I think that that's maybe how other people look at it too. The UFC, that's not why they're doing it, in my opinion. But when you sit there, I do think that Diego Lopez could beat those guys. My confident picks. It's a fight game, man. I don't really ever feel super confident about a lot of picks a lot of the time, man. It's very hard to be confident. And a lot of people that tell you they're so confident that a fighter is going to win a fight, I feel like they're lying because anything can happen. There's been so many times that you feel good about a fight and it doesn't go the way that you think. So that's how I feel. I feel pretty good about Jalen Turner. I worry about his mindset, but I feel pretty confident in the fact that if Jalen Turner doesn't have any mental lapses and he goes out there and fights the way that he's capable of, Edson Barboza, while he's still dangerous with the kicks, he is very clearly washed, in my opinion. I believe that. So I feel pretty good about Jalen Turner. I think that this is the UFC saying, look, Jalen, we understand you retired. Welcome back. We're going to give you a striker. Go out there against a slower, still dangerous with the kicks, Edson Barboza. But Jalen Turner should win this fight. He should win this fight. So Mansour Abdul Malik should definitely win. I mean, if he loses to Antonio Tricoli, that would be devastating. That would be absolutely devastating, man. And honestly, man, like I know that, I think he's an underdog, Brandon Moreno. I feel pretty confident in I feel pretty confident in Brandon Moreno, man. As crazy as that might sound, like as long as he doesn't allow Tyra to take him down and control him and get to his back, I really, really do believe that Brandon Moreno will win. I think he's the better striker, man. If you go back and watch the Royval fight against Tyra, if you go back and watch Perez before the injury, which again, that was because Tyra took his back and Tyra's dangerous, man, on the ground. But is Tyra as good as Pantoja on the ground? We'll see. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going with the fact that I think Pantoja is clearly a step ahead. We saw Royval, what he was doing against Tyra, cut it down to 15 minutes. I think Brandon Moreno on the feet with his boxing, his scrambling ability, his wiriness on the floor. I think Brandon Moreno should be able to tag up Tatsuro Taira on the feet. And I know Taira's striking is decent, but it's not better than Moreno. I think Moreno clearly has the edge. And styles make fights, man. And Brandon Moreno's got nasty kicks to the body. Remember that liver kick he landed on, or that kick to the liver he landed on Kai Kara France? So People forget, man, Brandon Moreno's really good. And look how he dealt with a guy like Amir Albazi. I know Amir is, pretty much a one-dimensional grappler, but Brandon messed him up, man. And Steve Erceg's a good grappler as well. Look how competitive Steve Erceg was with Pantoja. And I know Steve Erceg, it's kind of been a little rough lately, but Steve Erceg he's good on the ground. He's pretty dang good on the ground, man. And look at what Moreno was doing. So I feel like Moreno's being very much overlooked. That's the right word, right? Overlooked in this fight. I feel pretty good about Brandon Moreno winning that fight. So, and with Manuel Torres, I think that he definitely could find a KO, but I think it has to be in the first round. A lot of people are overlooking Moreno, man. A lot of people are from what I'm hearing, people are telling me that people are picking Tatsuro Taira to win. So, yeah, I think Brandon Moreno is motivated. He's young. He's still kind of in the prime. Maybe not like peak, but I think he's still good, man. You got Ibo Aslan winning. I mean, not a horrible take, because I think that Ibo Aslan, while he lost his last fight, he was a little bit more calculated, which again turned into a staring contest, so he lost, but wasn't throwing these big wild shots that were getting him out of position. So maybe he fights that way against Iwo, that pays off, but I don't think so. I think Iwo is pretty good, man. If I were a fighter, what would my walkout song be? I don't know, man. Maybe Mind Your Manners by Chitty Bang, man. I don't know. I like that song. I don't know. I like a lot of songs, man. That's hard. That'd be a hard one for me, man. You hope Jan wins, and you hope you're proven wrong that you can rely on him. Listen, I hope that Piotr Jan wins, but I just got to be honest. It's a steep hill to climb, man. Thank you, GC3457, for the 199, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Top 5 strikers right now in the UFC, in my opinion. Off the top of my head, definitely got Poatan in there, 100%. I got Ilia Topuria as well with the boxing. Off the top of my head, it's always tough. I'm trying to think. I think you could throw Islam in there, man. People continue to sleep on Islam striking. Look at the calf kicks he was landing on JDM, man. He's a very smart striker. I would put Islam up there as well. Maybe. I think that he could. I think he could be in there, man. I know that's gonna drive people nuts, but I think he could be in there, man. People act like Islam isn't a good striker. I think he's up there. Top 5's tough, man. I'm trying to think. I know he's a little bit older, but I think Volkanovski's still world class on the feet. Going out there and doing what he did to Volkanovski or to Diego Lopez is impressive. Max Holloway, I think Max Holloway could be up there. Sean O'Malley's really good too. He's on a little bit of a skid, but I got Piotr Jan up there as well. It's tough, man. Top 5. I don't know. I got Poatan for sure. I got Max, Volk, Ilya. And I'd say Piotr Jan. That's what I would put it at. And then you got, top 5 is tough. Top 5 is tough, man. Cyril Gane is definitely up there. I got Islam up there as well. A top 10 is maybe a little bit easier for me to answer. Top 5, it's very opinion-based. I definitely have Poatan in there. I have Alex Pineda as the number 1 striker. How about that? I got him at number 1. Definitely got Ilya in my top 5. Definitely got Holloway in my top 5, considering what Holloway has done, especially at 55. And don't forget that Holloway was doing very well against Ilya before getting KO'd. So, and then Volkanovski dominated Holloway in the trilogy. So, and Volkanovski still looked really, really good against Diego Lopez. I feel like you could even have Ian Gary in there. I don't think that that's crazy. Ian Gary, I mean, you could have Carlos Prates in there as well. Manel Cap's a good one. That's a great question, man. Top 5 is hard to nail down. I would really have to think about that because there's so many good strikers, man. Like Prates is up there. Knocking out Edwards is impressive. His Muay Thai style is beautiful. Prates. Ian Gary's really smooth on the feet. Can fight well moving forward and backwards. Nasruddin Imavov is really, really good. I think Imavov might be the best striker in the middleweight division right now. At least one of them. I think he's top of the food chain at middleweight right now, Imavov. So, but yeah, Muslim Salikov is very good as well, but he's just a little older. He's a little bit older. But yeah, I have Islam up there, man. Like I still think that I think you could put Islam in your top 5. I don't think it's that crazy. People keep saying that it's the threat of the takedown, but to me, the threat of the takedown is feinting a level change and then throwing shots upstairs, or level changing and giving, you know, people different, looks like that. But I still think that Islam, like, definitely in the top 10 for sure, and a lot of it, I kind of just changed my mind a lot on it. But I definitely have Poatan at 1. I definitely got Poatan at 1. I would even put Magomed Ankalaev in there as well. I know that people are going to shit on him because he got, finished easily by Poatan in the rematch, but Ankalaev's a good striker, dude. His timing is really good. He's hard to hit clean. His punches are straight. They're fast. His kicks are nasty. He's very, very technical. And sometimes that kind of comes to his detriment a little bit because he, is a little too hesitant. I feel like Sean Strickland at times when he opens up can be really, really good. He can be very good. His jab is good. He's got some good pieces. I don't know if I would put him in my top 10, but he checks kicks very well, nasty front kicks and a jab, but that's basically kind of it. He's a little bit not, doesn't have a ton in his arsenal, but he's still very effective and a little bit too reserved in my opinion. MVP's up there as well. MVP. Yeah, Angry Poatan is different, dude. So I'm not saying Strickland's top 10. I'm saying, but if you brought a little more to the table, I mean, his striking's pretty good. Don't forget that he beat Nasruddin Imavov. I know that was Imavov up at 205, short notice for Strickland. I get all that, but still. Prime Izzy, I have Prime Izzy in like right now, if we had Prime Izzy right now, I'd put Izzy in the top 5 right now. And given what we have in the UFC, Prime Izzy was really, really good, man. Really, really good. Still is pretty good, but Mauricio Rufy's a nasty striker too. He's a nasty striker too, but there's so many good strikers in the UFC. It's so hard to pinpoint. So hard to pinpoint. The guys that stand out to me, that stand out without putting any order, the guys that stand out is Poatan, Ankalaev, Sorogan, Aspinall, Ilya, Volk, Max, Carlos Prates. So, Morales is dangerous. I think my live just froze there, but I'm back, I think. All right. It's hard to say, man. You got Islam. There's a lot of great strikers in the UFC, man. Piotr Yan, Sean O'Malley. My nose is stuffing up, man. I almost sneezed, man. Tried to hold back that sneeze. So, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to today's live, man. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to go live for the card tomorrow as well. We had a really good turnout for UFC Qatar. So we had a great turnout for that. So that ended up doing crazy numbers for my channel, at least, for being a little smaller channel. So that did great. So I think I'm going to go live again for 323. Stay tuned. I'll have a recap for that as well. Thank you guys. Those of you that dropped some super chats in today, I really appreciated it, man. And I appreciate it in general. Thank you all for the support, man. Check out my recent breakdown I did of Pantoja and Van. And if you haven't seen my full card predictions and breakdowns, that video is out as well. Hope you guys have a good Friday, man. Until next time.